She said it casually, like she was choosing a movie, not deciding the future of our lives. I don't want to get married yet. She paused, then added with a soft shrug. I haven't had enough fun. I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't even ask what she meant by fun. I just said one word. All right. And in that moment, something inside me went completely quiet. My name is Nathaniel Brooks. I live in Westport, Connecticut, the kind of town where people measure your life by milestones, not moments. Engagements, weddings, joint investments, families. I had built everything in a way that made sense on paper. A stable consulting firm, a renovated colonial house near the shoreline, a life that looked complete from the outside. And for 5 years, that life included Olivia Mercer. Olivia wasn't just beautiful. She had presence. The kind that made people lean in when she spoke. The kind that made rooms adjust around her without realizing it. We met at a private charity event in Manhattan. She laughed at something I said that wasn't even funny. I remember thinking that moment mattered more than it should. From that night on, everything moved naturally. Dinners, trips, weekends that blended into routines. She moved in my house 2 years later without it ever being officially discussed. It just happened, like most things between us. Looking back now, I realized that was the first sign I ignored. Nothing between us was ever formally defined. Not boundaries, not expectations, not even timelines. But I believe consistency was enough. I believed presence meant commitment. I believed time would naturally lead to permanence. I was wrong. The conversation happened on a Thursday evening. No tensión, no argument, just a simple dinner at home. I had just finished talking about expanding my firm into Boston. She listened, nodding slowly. Then she placed her fork down and said it, not with fear, not with hesitation, but with calm certainty. I don't want to get married. I remember the silence after. It wasn't heavy. It was empty, like something had been removed from the room. Not yet, she added. I feel like I haven't lived enough. I looked at her, trying to understand. You mean travel? She shook her head slightly. No, just life. That word stayed with me. Life. As if what we had wasn't part of it. As if everything we built was just a pause before something real. I could have asked more questions. I could have pushed for clarity. But I didn't. Because deep down, I understood what she wasn't saying. She didn't want to choose me permanently. Not yet. Maybe not ever. So I gave her the easiest response she would ever hear. All right, before we go further, tell me honestly, if you were in my place, would you have asked her to explain, or would you have stayed quiet like I did? That night, nothing changed on the surface. We watched a show. She rested her head on my shoulder. She laughed at the same moments she always did. But something had shifted. Not in her. In me. I stopped imagining a future that included her. I stopped attaching meaning to small gestures. I stopped building invisible promises in my head. And most importantly, I stopped waiting. The next few weeks were normal. Too normal. She went out more often. Girls' nights turned into late nights. Late nights turned into mornings. I didn't question it. Not because I didn't notice, but because I had already accepted the answer she gave me. She wasn't done exploring life. And I wasn't going to compete with an idea. One evening, she mentioned a weekend trip to Miami. Just a break, she said. I need it. I nodded. Enjoy it. She smiled like I had passed some kind of test. That smile told me more than her words ever could. When she left, the house felt different. Not empty. Clear. Like something had been quietly removed. That weekend, I did something I hadn't done in years. I sat down and reviewed my life without including her in it. Financially, emotionally, practically. And for the first time, everything made perfect sense. The house was in my name. The accounts were separate. The business was stable. There was nothing tying me to uncertainty except habit. And habit is a powerful thing. Stronger than love sometimes. She came back Sunday evening. Tanned. Relaxed. Carrying stories she didn't fully share. I listened. Not to understand, but to confirm what I already knew. There was a distance in her energy now. Not guilt. Not secrecy. Just expansion. Like she was slowly stepping into a life where I wasn't central anymore. A few days later, she asked a question. It sounded harmless. Do you ever feel like you settled too early? I looked at her. No. She tilted her head slightly. I think people should experience more before they commit. There was again that idea, experience, as if commitment was something you reached after exhausting every alternative, as if loyalty required prior comparison. I nodded slowly. Maybe, but inside, something became very clear. We weren't building the same life. We were just sharing the same space. The turning point didn't come with a fight. It came with paperwork. A new business opportunity required me to restructure my assets. New partnerships, new liabilities, new clarity. And for the first time, I had to formally define who was part of my future. Her name didn't fit anywhere. Not legally, not practically, not even emotionally anymore. That realization wasn't painful. It was precise. A week later, I made a decision. Not dramatic, not emotional, just necessary. I waited until Sunday morning. She was in the kitchen, scrolling through her phone, coffee in hand, sunlight hitting her face the way it always did. Peaceful, untouched. I think we should separate. She looked up slowly, confused, not hurt. What? I think we want different things. Her expression shifted, not to sadness, to disbelief. Where is this coming from? I kept my voice steady. You said you're not ready. That doesn't mean... I didn't interrupt. I let her finish. It doesn't mean I don't want us. I nodded. I understand. But I don't want to pause my life while you figure that out. That sentence landed differently. I could see it in her eyes. For the first time, she was the one adjusting. You're overreacting. I don't think I am. So you're just giving up? No. I am choosing clarity. Silence filled the room. This time it wasn't empty. It was full of something unresolved. She stood there, trying to process a version of me she hadn't expected. People take breaks all the time. I'm not interested in a break. Her voice softened slightly. You're really going to walk away just like that? I paused, not because I was unsure, but because I wanted to answer honestly. I already did. Before we continue, think about this for a second. Do you believe walking away calmly is stronger than fighting to stay? Or does it mean you didn't care enough? She moved out 2 weeks later. No screaming. No dramatic exit. Just quiet packing. Occasional glances. Unfinished sentences. On her last day, she stood by the door. You're going to regret this. I shook my head gently. I don't think so. She waited for something more. An apology. A hesitation. A sign that I would reconsider. There was none. She left. And just like that, 5 years ended without collapse. Months passed. Then a year. My life didn't fall apart. It refined. The business grew. The house felt like mine again. My time became intentional, not shared out of routine, but chosen with purpose. Then one evening, her name appeared on my phone. Olivia Mercer. I stared at it for a moment, not with emotion, but with curiosity. I answered. Her voice sounded different, less certain. Hey, E. A pause followed. I was thinking about you. I didn't respond immediately. She continued. I think I made a mistake. Of course she did, but not in the way she thought. I thought I needed more life. And I realized what we had was real. I leaned back in my chair, listening, not reacting. I'm ready now. That sentence might have meant everything a year ago. Now it meant nothing. I'm glad you figured things out. She hesitated. That's it. What else would you like me to say? I thought maybe we could try again. There it was. Not love. Not regret. A proposal to resume. As if time hadn't changed anything. As if I was still in the same place she left me. I don't think that would make sense. Silence. This time heavy. Real. You've moved on? Yes. Not to someone else, but to a different version of myself. I didn't think you would. I know. Another pause. I guess I thought you'd wait. That was the truth. Not spoken before, but always present. I didn't. She exhaled slowly. I didn't expect that. I know. We ended the call shortly after. No closure speech. No emotional resolution. Just acceptance and distance. Because sometimes the strongest thing you can do isn't proving your value to someone. It's removing yourself from a place where your value is optional. And once you do that, there's no going back.